Welcome to the app. Well, first of all, I gotta do something before I welcome everybody. All right. If anybody heard that,
Make
I am having what is this Miller Fortune?
it. Oh wow! I'm sure it cost
Yeah,
a fortune. Yeah.
it did. A fucking tall boy's like 250.
My God, what's the world coming to?
I almost didn't get served because my ID expired.
Re- really? But didn't
Yeah,
they just recognize you from being there every 20 minutes for the last several years?
I figured. I mean, I didn't. I don't know. I made a post earlier about that. Say like, what's the point of a over 21 expiration date? I don't get any younger.
I
Do you get better booze when after a certain amount of time or what?
think that would be a really interesting program. Maybe that's the whole thing. You can't get like the really deep, dark, hidden under the counter stuff. Those, the things that gods or presidents get drunk off of.
I mean that's what was cramping my style earlier.
Hmm. Oh, nice.
So
Yep.
anyway, everybody, welcome to the happy hour. My guest is the Landshark, Donnie
Yes,
Tate.
I am. Yes, I am.
Landshark Donnie Tate, date rape Donnie Tate, whatever you want to call him.
Damn straight, Donnie Tate, the champion of virtue, Donnie Tate, and just simply the Land Shark. There were a lot of nicknames there over the years.
All
Great
right.
time.
So, like, what got you in when you were wrestling? What got you into it? I mean, like, how did you? Who did you contact? Did you have like an in or what?
Oh Lord, this story starts out as a bit of a mess, as most indie wrestling stories do. Um, so I was in college in the Monongahela Valley up in Pennsylvania, and one of my fraternity brothers, one like Thursday, we were at a party. He said, "Hey man, I'm going to do this pro wrestling thing over in it was Monessen. It was Monessen, Pennsylvania. You want to come over?" And of course, I'm a frat boy. I'm 19. I'm an idiot. I'm like, "Sure, dude, let's go do it." So we go over there, and what's up?
Do what?
Oh, sorry, I heard my own voice reverberating from your side. Freaked me out. But we go over there, and it's this what I would find out later is called like a backyard promotion. But they were in a gymnasium. They had a ring set up. People had very strange gimmicks, including one guy who was led to the ring by a troop of women of varying levels of attractiveness, let's say. Um, and I mean, I went with a couple of my friends, Big Nate the Bull Mastiff and AJ, and I got my buddy Alex to be Myron Stamper, our sort of, I guess, Irish caricature manager, and there was some ring girls, I think. Yeah, so I did that and had a great time. They drew more fans than a fairly large percentage of the legitimate indie shows I was.
Landshark.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought I lost you for a second. I didn't hear anything for a
Oh,
minute.
my bad. I was going on for a while there. When did you lose me?
Last name I heard was like AJ or some shit like that.
Yeah. Anyway, we do this show. They draw more fans than a high percentage of the indie wrestling shows that I've seen or performed on, which is a tragic thing to say. Um, but then we messed around there for a while, and and eventually a big group of people that had been doing that. I guess you would call it organization. Decided they wanted to start a promotion, so they contacted two guys, the Wildcat and Johnny Hard of the WVWA. Are those
I
names
remember
familiar
those
with
two.
JP?
Do what?
You familiar with these fellas?
I remember Wildcat, and I remember Johnny Hard like almost all the way back to when I first started.
Yeah. Well, they were the guys who they got contacted with and hooked up with. So eventually, through a very abbreviated slow training process, a few of the guys from that backyard promotion became actual quote unquote wrestlers. At that point, most of us were kind of the burning shits. Not all, most, but yeah. And then another connection of mine I had through my through some nefarious activities met a guy named Damian Lee, who
Yeah, that's when I first met you.
yes, that's when you first met me. Damian Lee was a promoter who owned a promotion called XWE. I don't really know what that stands for, but
I'd
it
assume Extreme's in there somewhere.
yeah, Extreme Wrestling Extreme with an E.
Extreme Wrestling Extreme.
Yeah, and I know Damien, and I'm sure he wouldn't mind me saying this. He was a male exotic dancer. I once saw him at one of those shows, like pour a bunch of alcohol on the floor and onto his junk. And the whole thing went up in flames. It was crazy. Anyway, so this guy hires me to be on his pro wrestling show. And we go down there, and I'm really bad. And when I first got into the business, I had long brown hair. And people are like,
Mhm.
wow, you look like a surfer. And I'm like, wow, you look like a wrestler. I'm going to listen to you. Later, I would learn that's not always the case. Anyway, I became a surfer. Dyed my hair blonde and spent the next year and a half sliding face first into the ring on a boogie board.
So Damian Lee's the one that talked to you into coming to the ring with the boogie board.
No, the boogie board was my idea. It was Tony
Oh,
Wolf
okay.
who talked me into the surfer thing.
Oh, Tony
So,
Wolf.
yeah. Yet, I met him at the first indie show I ever saw, which was down in Fairmont, some big sports bar or something. But anyway, once I get down to Fairmont working for Damian Lee, it was a place called the Thunderdome nightclub. Now, I say it's closer to the Thunderdome than a nightclub in any objective terms. It was not a nightclub in the sense that there were drinks or alcohol or food or really any like lights or disco balls or really even a full tile floor. It was a really rundown shack. It was heated by just one big pipe that came out of the wall and just pumped in hot air. If you're in the ring, and this was a very short ring, but if you're in the ring and you stood on the top rope, you would certainly hit your head on the ceiling. In one corner, I don't know if you remember this. In the one corner, there was a ceiling fan that you could just reach out and like touch or slap. So in this
I
rundown,
think I did snap it a few times.
yeah, yeah, I'm sure somebody got smashed into that thing. It's just the law of averages, right? Um, I showed up down there, and that was the first place that I was really instructed about how bad I was, and that was when I met you and Eric Steele, Jason Kincaid, Eric Darkstorm, Gypsy Joe, the Bulldozer, and TJ Phillips. Oh, and
uh,
let us not forget James Knight, who
let's
was
not forget about Admon either.
oh my gosh, I forgot to mention Admon, and I hope Admon listens to this. Love that guy to death. Admon is a great ring announcer who is also a wild dude. A quick story. One time, this is years later, Admon and I literally drove through hell and high water to get to a show. We were trying to get to a show down in Huntington. It was a 304 show. At the what's the bigger arena called where 304
So
does
Field House
yeah, the
was
field house.
yeah.
And we're trying to get down there, but there was flooding everywhere. So 2 or 3 times we drive past, we move the sawhorses they use to block the roads. We drive down closed roads with water coming almost up over the window of the car. We drive through floods to get to a show. Oh man, great times. Anyway, yeah, so I really, it was Fairmont at the XWE with all of the aforementioned guys that I really would say my career started. Yeah, so that's how I got in. And then hilarity ensued. Hello? Okay, well, for anyone out there who can still hear me, then I would like to remind you that this program is brought to you by Miller Fortune. Um, okay, so apparently I'm monologuing to the entire internet right now while JB does his thing and gets interneted back into the conversation. I want to say thank you all for joining us for the happy hour. I'm the Landshark Donnie Tate. It seems like there should be some type of music to fill these gaps, but since there's not, I'm just going to take a little bit of time and mention some sponsors that I think should be brought up right now. I want to thank the good people at the Thunderdome Nightclub for all of their support over the years. I'd like to thank the good people at Road FC in Korea, who once locked me in a cage with another man. I'm sure we'll be hearing more about that later. I want to thank JV Insanity and all of the
Okay,
West.
we back.
Oh, hello, you're back in, JV?
Yeah,
Okay, welcome back, man. I was just
yeah.
monologuing to the
Well,
internet, thanked our
Yeah.
sponsors,
well,
some
Let
more.
me just say the reason why we got kicked out was because Ryan Reed was calling me, and then it kicked the whole fucking call off. I'm on my mobile phone right now.
Ryan Reed.
Ryan Reed, Ryan Reed fucked it all up. I saw, all of a sudden I saw nothing, and then I didn't hear anything, and then all of a sudden I saw Corey Knoll, aka Ryan Reed, is calling, and I was like, God damn it! So I just like ignored the fuck out of the call. I was trying to get back in here.
Yeah, well, there that all fucking goes. I was having a good time. I was talking about my life like it's important, or it was nice. And Ryan Reed just comes in and super kicks my shit all to hell and gone. God damn it, Ryan Reed.
So we were leaving off. It was like we were talking about Adam Montgomery, aka Admon, aka Luke Hickson, whatever anybody knows him as, one of the best fucking ring announcers in the area.
Gotta love him. Awesome, lovable guy. I've known him since my first day in. We had a lot of wild times doing bar crawls over in California, Pennsylvania. Oh
And the
Lord,
man loves the Beach Boys.
the man is the Beach Boys. I once, one night, I was at a bar I think called the Friendship Lounge, and I'm chugging Four Loko because, I'll admit I was the type of guy who would chug Four Lokos. So I'm chugging Four Lokos, and Luke is on the drums, wigging out behind the drum kit. His dad is singing. I'm hanging, and like his mom's there. We're hanging out, and I got plastered. I don't exactly remember how this story ends because my memory of that particular evening is somewhat impaired. But I got to tell you, it was good times. I love Admon. I love the whole crew of boys that we used to run with down there.
What was the name of our little crew?
The
God damn it.
the Wrestlers Templar. The Templar.
Yeah.
Uh, Great name. Absolutely great name.
I was actually in Clarksburg about a week ago because I started wrestling for Don West again, and the night before I was in Bluefield, so I crashed at my buddy's house in Clarksburg. David Higgins, old Higgy.
No way. How's Higgy doing?
He's doing all right. You know, we sat there and shot the shit. Was drinking some couple beverages up at fucking 6 in the morning.
Classy. It's the wrestler breakfast. Oh, look at that! It's beer 30. Um. Anyway, for anybody who doesn't know him, David Henry Higgins is a longtime referee. Also, I hope I'm not ruining this for anybody. Spoiler alert: he was also used to wrestle under a mask as the Great Incubus. The Great Incubus was wonderful, wonderful to watch. Look him up on the YouTube if you want. But Higgins' fame to me doesn't come from the ring. It comes from his ability to throw the best after wrestling show after party ever. And JV, you can be a witness to me for any of these stories. Every time we would have a show in Clarksburg, we were doing a promotion called the EWA for a while down there. That was running out of the Summit Park Volunteer Fire Department, which that place is a story in and of itself. But the after party would be at Higgins' apartment, and it was just this. It was like 4 rooms and a hall, a strange
And he's
hall.
still in that same apartment.
Say again.
He's still in that same apartment because that's where I crashed at a couple weeks ago.
Oh, okay. So you remember exactly what it's like, and we would just get these, and it wasn't the type of party where you go to and like anybody's really expecting to get laid or anything like that. It was the type of party that a bunch of dudes went to, got super drunk, and would stand around hitting each other and breaking shit and singing songs. And I mean literally in that order.
Hey, one of my favorite stories from there, the kid, aka Chris Tyler, he got hooked up with he got hooked up with some chick over there, and he was in the very one of the fucking deepest closet. It was a bedroom, but it was a closet, I think.
Yeah,
At the same time.
that closet TJ used to live in.
Yeah, the kid got, he went and did his deal with this chick after the show. Bulldozer, Wes Fetty, Beast Man, whatever you want to call him.
Man, George Fetty. Fetty Kong.
He decides I'm gonna get naked and jump in bed with them as a fucking rib. The kid's just laughing his ass off. He goes like, "Oh, it's like Dozer, get the fuck out of here," But he's laughing still at the same time. The kid said that the chick was just sitting there like he was supposed to be there. But we put a double rib on him because then I think Derek or Bubba one grabbed Bulldozer's clothes that was standing right by the door and took off with him. So by the time Dozer got out, he was looking for his clothes, and the only thing he could find was like some small ass shirt that belonged to Higgy. He puts it on. He's walking around like Donald Duck because he has no pants on.
Oh wow. Oh yeah. So for all the listeners out there who aren't familiar with these names, the kid Chris Tyler, very good high flyer. He's very pale and white. He's got red hair and dreadlocks, and he might weigh, I don't know, 145, 150 pounds, and. So he's in sort of a closet that's about the size of a hallway. It's about 3 feet wide. And Bulldozer, or the Beast Man George Fetty, or whatever you call him, he's about 325, 350 pounds. So, and he's built a lot like a gorilla. He's got the big head, the big shoulders, the big gut. And so,
and no neck.
he didn't excel in neck growing, but he's wonderful, wonderful, wonderful guy. He can eat 7 steaks in one sitting, so you've got this big white gorilla, and you've got this skinny kid, and what I imagine is a girl of some kind, and I just see Bulldozer running in slow motion, charging, thumping towards them, and doing a flying Jimmy Snuka style splash onto the whole mess. Then he said Derek and Bubba. Now Derek and Bubba are the tag team Legit Dynamite. Dynamite Derek Billings and the legit hit Bubba Kyle, who they're
They haven't wrestled in almost a year or two, and they still strike fear in the hearts of men.
yeah, yeah. There's nobody who with it's one of those things where if you go over and look at the booking sheet and you see that you're gonna have to work the Billings brothers, there's there's probably gonna be a great deal of impact on your spine.
I remember one time, it was like a day before a 304 TV taping. I guess you and Derek, I guess, decided to trade forearms at one of TJ's after parties.
Oh yeah, I forgot
and,
about that one.
and, and,
Yeah.
Der- and, and Derek had like the fucking black eyes or whatever, and then then the next day, and Bubba, I don't know what was wrong with him. He ended up doing something, and he had a fucked up face. He was like, guys, I don't care if y'all do this, but I have TV to tape. Y'all can't be fucking each other up that bad.
Okay, yeah, I can tell you what happened there. That was, it's one of those times. A tradition at our after parties we would do things called standoffs. For anyone who's not familiar out there, that's when two guys stand in front of each other and take turns punching each other in the face. I don't mean like a fight where you're just winging them however you can. I mean he gets one, I get one. He gets one, I get one, and the last man standing is the man. And so Derek and Bubba, Derek and Bubba were masters of this, and at every one of our after parties, because the Billings brothers, in case you don't know, are very, very tough, and they would always, and when there was no one else to hit, they would sit there and they would trade off with each other, and wow. Anyway, so this particular night, I don't remember who brings it up. I think it was Bubba. Bubba says, "You do standoff?" I'm like, "Yes, I do." And so we start going at it. Boom, 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 boom. And I get Bubba.
Oh God, are they still here? Yo, you still here? Folks, we're still here. I think the standoff turned into a legit standoff. We gotta get Donnie Tate back on.
Are we back on? Am I here? Hello?
All right, Donnie
It-
Tate, were you just trying to? You were doing the standoff so much that you end up getting kicked out.
yeah. Boom, boom. All right, where did we leave off?
That's where we left off at.
All right. So Bubba gets knocked back into the wall, and he's sort of dazed. Derek tells him, "All right, Bubba, you're done." Bubba's like, "Damn." And so I'm like, and I have to point out at this point, we're all really drunk. Bubba is probably the drunkest. Me and Derek are probably not far behind. Um, and then I, feeling like a big stupid man, decide to try to do a standoff with Dynamite Derek, who hits amazingly hard. And we go with the elbows. We go back and forth with four. Boom, 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 boom. And I feel my body, my brain starting to rebel against consciousness. So I say to him, "Okay, that's enough." I feel confident that Dynamite Derek would definitely have knocked me right the fuck out. So I was smart to quit when I did. And so the next day, Derek, because I don't throw my forearms like forearms. I throw them as just close up elbows. Derek has a black eye. And so we show up there, and I'm talking shit like a moron, and then I end up in a match where it's those two against me in a mask. I was
Oh
part.
yeah, you did it like a gauntlet kind of deal.
Yeah, it was crazy. So we go in there. It's legit Dynamite versus me and a young man named Pomeroy.
Oh, the fat chick thriller.
oh, Timothy Pomeroy. What in and now Pomeroy was a like a 16, 17-year-old foul-mouthed, tall, sort of skinny blonde kid who hung out with us, who was hilarious and awesome because he respected no man and no thing. Nothing was sacred to young Pomeroy. He was a savage, just like the rest of us. And
And he
so
would fuck the fat rats.
uh, Pomeroy would do anything if the situation called for it. Oh, wow. Yeah. So it's me and Pomeroy both under masks, and I gotta tell you, I really regretted that party that day because I have seldom taken such a beating in a wrestling ring. I mean, I felt awful after that match. I felt like I'd been caned like Jesus. You ever seen the Passion of the Christ? Imagine that, but with the Billings brothers laying into you. God.
I remember that morning I had to rewrite TV because a bunch of people got that message me, and I was like, "Well, let me get ready." And then I don't even remember what the bottle was. Maybe it's some vodka or something. I just chugged the shit out of it. It's like, all right, let me write this TV out now. and
Oh,
and Pomeroy started yelling because it was like this was Sunday and the TV was at 3, so we were having to get up early anyway. And these church bells started going off, and he's like, "Knock that fucking shit off!" And I was like, "Pomeroy, it's a church."
I'm sure he said something to the effect of, God has no place here. It was
So
always a thing
when,
at Ian's
when did
house.
you actually get hooked up with TJ? I mean, I know he came down to Damian Lee's and all that, but when did he start to take you under his wing?
Well, it really started pretty soon after that. I had always had and I had no idea who he was when I showed up, like, because Damian Lee was the promoter, TJ was the booker down there at the time, and I was just some guy who Damian made TJ put on the card. And like, so I meet him, I introduce myself or whatever, and he's just some sort of short guy in a flannel shirt and glasses and doesn't really look like anybody. And then I said, I've always had a really big interest in what we call shoot wrestling or, grappling, catch wrestling, submission stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, and somebody told me that TJ was really good at it. So I go over to him and ask a question that I'm sure a lot of foolish young wrestlers have over the years. I ask him if he wants to roll with me. He's like, "Oh yeah, hold on a sec." Puts on his takes off his glasses, puts them down, gets in the ring, and we get started. 5 seconds later, he throws a flying armbar at me. So the first thing he ever gave me was a flying armbar. We roll around, and he taps me out about a minute later, and it had been a while since somebody tapped me out. I'm like, "Hey man, can you teach me how to do that stuff better?" He's like, "All right." And he also suggested instead of coming to the ring as just the Landshark, like when I first started, I didn't have any any actual name after it. It was just the Landshark. Suggested that I put in the Landshark Donnie Tate so I sounded like a human and not a Jimmy Buffett style logger. Yeah, and it was
Say
I
I'm
remember
a
I remember
fish.
the exact day it was. It was in Morgantown, a Mason Dixon wrestling show. Um, I went out and him and it was Jay Rue, a friend of
Was
mine from the
Justin
Pittsburgh wrestling area, and him, Jay Rue, and Justin Case got me on a show, and it was in front of like 300 people. I was stoked. But
Donnie,
just
describe Justin Case first.
oh, describe just in case. Okay. Just in case is somewhere according to legend between like 50 and 150,000 years old. Um, he's a manager from the Mason Dixon area. He was with I'm told he was with MDW and ACCW when they were big up there. He has a mullet. Wears a suit
He's
jacket
proud.
to the ring.
He has a
Um,
and he wears it proud.
yes, he wears it very proudly. He once told me that he wrestled El Santo in a bull ring in Mexico, um, which would probably put him close to 70. Uh, yeah, but yeah, just in case, people really do love to boo the man. He comes out and he would like, little kids and like not at normal family shows, but I've definitely heard him say to somebody, "You shut your fucking mouth." Um, and Case is great because no matter what, he would when you're on the road with him, he will tell you all sorts of stories for hours and hours. You'll never get bored in a car with Justin Case, ever. So
I think there needs to be a camera on that man at all times.
I would watch the Justin Case reality show. I really would. Put that shit on WWE Network.
Put it on my network. Fuck WWE, they ain't getting my money.
Yeah, but yeah, it was those three guys that I recalled. They got me on this they got me on this show. It was the first time I had ever performed on like a big show, and I was really stoked. I worked with J. Rue that day. I don't really remember much about the match, but afterwards, T pulled me aside in the back. He said, "All right, man, look, I want you to come with us. I want you to roll with this. I'll show you how to do this shit right." Like, and I said, "All right." And really, it's one of my favorite decisions I've ever made because a lot of the stuff I've learned from that is what's really helped me succeed as much as I have in pretty much all my avenues of life. And moreover than that, the stupid life skills thing, it was fun. I never had more fun than when I was in West Virginia, being wild and savage and complete. You were there.
And barefoot.
Yeah,
And
I was
barefoot.
I was barefoot and plastered for about 2.5, 3 straight years. Hey, life was fun. Anyway, yeah, so that was when I really started running with everybody down there.
Oh yeah, I remember. I think I just you come down with TJ to some of the TV tapings, and I think a spot opened up for you to actually be yourself. And I said, yeah. I can't remember who you may have wrestled like Blazing Eagle or something like that. And you were like, "Can I get on the mic?" And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, go ahead, just get yourself over." And then next thing you know, Tom McKnight, the promoter, comes back. He's like, "Dude, where the fuck did you find this guy?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, that's Donnie Tate. He's hilarious."
Oh, that's yeah, dude. Tom McKnight was a guy who I really liked because he he let me go out and be myself in the ring because most they say most like great wrestling gimmicks are your own personality cranked up to 11, right? Well,
Yeah.
for anybody who has ever met me or talked to me, that's kind of a strange thing to say because I got to really. Um, let me take a quick step back. Most of the time, when I in that area in West Virginia, I was a baby face. I was a good guy everywhere. because you know I was skinny, I was pretty, you know I had all my teeth when I smiled, so you know you're a baby face, but you can't have my personality and crank it up to 11 and expect people to like it. There's a lot of things that I find funny that others might consider depraved and insane. So I never really got to be creative when I was being a baby face. I always had to tone my personality way down. A lot of thumbs up, a lot of high fives, a lot of "Hey, how you doing, buddy? Give me some, yeah!" Which is not exactly how I am. The champion of virtue gimmick is really it's a lot more. It's a lot closer to who I am as a person. I think it was actually was it Ryan Edmonds that happened with?
What was that?
Blazing Eagle. It was Blazing Eagle, and then I worked Edmonds on the next week's TV. I remember that day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ah, Blazing Eagle. I love that kid. He unfriended me on Facebook because I posted foul things.
You offended Blazing Eagle?
Yeah, no, he unfriended me. He's like, I don't want to be your friend, Donnie Tate. That hurt my feelings, JP. I'm a sensitive soul.
and I'm still friends with him. The things I post.
Yeah, it seems unfair. But yeah, Blazing Eagle was maybe 13, 14 when he first got in. But he had a mask, so no one knew.
A lot of people do that when someone's starting out young. They always throw a fucking hood on him. It's like, okay, they're not gonna know. They're gonna think he's like Mexican or something like that without a tan.
They can't see his face. They won't know he's 13. They certainly won't be able to tell by his body, which is small and boyish.
They did that with the kid, another kid, Brian Compton. They did that with him. They do that with a lot of people. They always like, okay, we're just gonna throw a hood on him. Nobody will ever know.
Let's take a quick time out and talk about Ryan Compton, a guy who, if I remember correctly, once beat up Andy Dick at a bar.
Well, he didn't beat him up, but it was a little awkward. Actually, I was talking about this the other day because the guy that owned that bar I ran into the other day, and I found out this. The person, this is a little trivia for everybody. The person that bailed Andy Dick out of jail that night was Adam Sandler. Adam Sandler like wired the money over to get him out of jail.
So there you have it, folks. Once Adam Sandler wired $500 to Huntington, West Virginia, to free Andy Dick after he got into a fight with Ryan Compton.
I don't know about I don't think the fight thing was actually true, but I know Brian Compton tried to rip him off on some substances that he wanted to have, and Brian Compton didn't have it, but he was willing to take his money and run.
Oh, I hadn't heard that particular version of the story.
Yeah, he was pretty much just like Andy Dick was wild that night, and he was looking to get a little bit more wild, and he asked Brian Compton if he could get, like, he just walked straight up to him, asking him.
He walked up to Brian Compton and said, "Can you show me the way to the wilderness?"
And he was just like,
"That's all I get."
Yeah. I was like, hell, give me the money, I'll go get it. And he's like, no, I'm not doing that. You know?
Well, you know what? God bless him for trying. If Wild Andy came up to me and was giving out money, I'd try to get some of it. Yeah, but yeah, I gotta say, had a lot of fun wrestling down in Huntington. There's a lot of.
I don't know if this match is still on YouTube, but I remember you had this death match with TJ Phillips one time. And when I was watching it, I thought I was watching this fucking 1950s horror movie. You know, you come out there, you have this fucking WCW World Title replica belt on that's bigger than you are.
Yes, it was.
And TJ's coming out there. He's got like statutory Steve's in bondage or something, you know. He's got Steve Everly's in bondage. Somebody, he has like I don't know what was going on. I think I was watching it with the sound off at first, and then I was like, "What the fuck is going on?" Donnie Tate's running out here, his fucking world heavyweight title around his waist, and then T.J. Phillips comes out there. He has people in bondage, and he has his ex-wife with him, and they're about to go at it in barbed wire in front of like 10 people.
Yeah, that was a crazy night in Clarksburg. And this is a series of 3 videos. People listening, if you go to the YouTube, look up Landshark versus T.J. Phillip Panes of Glass. It's 3 parts. It's still up there. It's one of my most watched videos. Here was the situation. WVWA was the first promotion that was running over in Summit Park at the time. And they had canceled like 3 shows in a row because of snow and inclement weather. And this was at like the end of January. And they said, and TJ said, look, we're having the show this week. Their previous show, they had a tournament with a bunch of guys in it that ended with Jonesy Bishop from out in Ohio beating.
I seen Jonesy about a week ago, and he looks nothing like he did back then. He looks like a actual human being now. He's fucking jacked up and everything, man. I barely recognize the guy.
Good for him. Good for him. Jonesy, at the time, was another tall, skinny guy out on the scene. We ended up being friends. He and I were put in the what they called the blowjob babyface tag team. That's I'll let you figure that one out. Look it up on the internet. I'm tired of explaining everything. We were the blowjob babyface tag team called Fair Warning. And Fair Warning, well, we had some good times in the middle of nowhere out there. Also, do you know where the name of that tag team came from, JV?
Who's that?
Every time I would be in the locker room, there comes a point in the night where you have to get naked to put your gear on. Okay? So, and of course, everybody covers their stuff with towels and like takes off their underwear underneath the towel, like they're trying to hide the fact that they have genitals. And every time we were in the locker room and it came time for me to get naked, I'd stand up, I'd shout, "Fair warning!" and I'd drop trow. And of course, I shout that so people look over and they see me be naked with my hang dang dangling out, and they're like, "Oh man, why did you do that?" I'm like, "Hey, dude, I gave you fair warning." So yeah, as a rib, they named Jonesy and I's tag team that.
The Bulldozer have to say fair warning.
Bulldozer. Does Bulldozer say fair warning now?
Did he ever have to say fair warning back in the day when he was getting changed?
When Bulldozer started getting changed, I think everybody just left him to his devices. If he gets offended, he'll throw a barrel at somebody. He's Fetty Kong. But yeah, I was on the team with Jonesy, and he had won the belt, that big WCW World Championship belt, because apparently you can just use that for every promotion, and people just know that you're the best in the world. So I've got Jonesy was the champion, but he couldn't make this show, and TJ said, "Well then, I gotta win the belt from somebody. I'm gonna win it from you." I'm like, "How the hell are we gonna make that work?" And we're in the middle of the car, and we're in the car driving up the road. He's like, "Hey man, I think we got to do Panes of Glass tomorrow." I'm like, "Fuck it, fine." We go into Summit Park. We sell Johnny hard on the idea. So at the beginning of the show, by the ancient property inheritance rule, they strip Jonesy of that big gold belt, and they give it to me, his tag team partner, because I was the next closest thing they could come up with, I guess. And so that was the first championship I ever won in my career, was the WVWA West Virginia State Championship represented by Ric Flair's big gold championship belt. Um, and then about an hour later, TJ and I went out in front of 31 paid fans, and I just proceeded to get murdered. I was blitzed drunk on this really cheap vodka. I can't even, Vladimir. I'm drunk on Vladimir vodka and Diet Dr. Pepper, and I go out there, and of course I've got the belt. I'm excited. I'm like, woo, let's get crazy. T comes out and gets really crazy. He comes out wearing a skull mask with a cross, like the kind Jesus hangs from, but upside down, so it's unholy. He comes out carrying an upside down cross made out of light tubes, a big fluorescent light tubes with his ex-wife who's got like the Bride of Frankenstein thing going on, and a guy in a gimp mask and some gimp tights, who secretly was styling Steve. And the match started, and we proceeded to get a lot of glass broken in that match. It was I've still got scars from it. It's a lot of fun. Look it up on YouTube.
All right, I'm back.
Did you leave the call again? Were you not connected?
Apparently I got well, this time it wasn't Ryan Reed. This time it was fucking telemarketer. I guess I saw a 800 number and beeping in.
Ryan Reed, stop sending telemarketers after us. We're trying to have an interview here, talking about the old days.
Speaking of 1-800 numbers, when I was trying to contact you earlier, I saw there was a 1-800 number on your Facebook, and I was just like, okay, let me see what the fuck this. I was like, I guess this is his number. I don't know. For some reason, it's a 1-800 number. I don't know why. I call that fucking number. It's a free sex line.
Yes, JB. I did that on purpose, so in case anybody was ever stupid enough to try to call me off of Facebook, so that they would have to talk to sex operators. I've never known anyone else to have fallen for that prank, and I've had that up there on Facebook since 2006. You've made the last 8 years worth it, JB.
Oh, but well, okay. So apparently, bulldozer getting changed fucking killed the conversation. I guess.
Bulldozer can get changed around me anytime. I love Wes Fetty. I've seen that guy naked more times than probably anybody ever should have.
He can get changed in front of females, and they won't get offended.
Right now, somewhere in the world, Bulldozer is just getting naked and changing clothes in public.
And he won't even catch a charge for it.
I remember at a show in Clarksburg, the tag team of Young Pomeroy, our young squire, our foul-mouthed young squire, and the White Gorilla, George the Beastman Fetty, the Bulldozer, when he has the mask on. They win the tag team championships. But then Viper comes out, who's deathmatch guy, wonderful guy, runs shows out in Ohio. Viper comes out with Bildo, who's
Bildo.
Bildo is my hero.
After you get done with the story, guys, I got a story about Bildo after this.
Okay, well, Bildo and Viper come out, and Bildo can punch through concrete. Viper
Viper can lift the concrete.
Yeah, Viper's pretty much made of concrete. And they come out, and instead of starting a fight with the Beast Man, they trade him for the tag team titles. They trade him a big bundle of bananas. So, and Wes and Beast Man just eats all of these bananas right there. Just mouths through them, throws the belts to Viper and Bildo, who celebrate like crazy, and he headbutts Pomeroy unconscious, and we call it a day.
I was telling actually I was telling Chris Phoenix, my little sound guy here. I was telling him about a couple years ago at Summit Park. There was a trainee there. I can't remember what first name he had, but I know his last name was Cena.
Sean Cena?
Sean Cena, that's what it was.
Yep.
Motherfucker had Cena tattooed on his stomach.
Yes.
And I remember we were just having a random battle royal, and I had no idea why we were even having this battle royal. And then Cole Cash said something to me. He said, "Oh yeah, this one guy in there." And then I was like, just out of nowhere, I just go like, "That guy didn't shake my hand." Which I don't even give a fuck about, you know. But for some reason, that just popped in my head, and I just started. Everybody was beating his ass. I mean, fucking Sherm, everybody, and then he started fighting up a little bit. You know, and I still sell for him, but like I look at Bildo, like Bildo, just knock him out, and Bildo just like tears right into him.
Dude, sick and
But I
built
remember
with somebody.
after the match, I even said something to him. I said, "Dude, you have a decent look to you. You have gear. Okay, I know it's tattooed on your stomach, but goddamn, can you get like a fucking singlet to cover that shit up?" And then like I walked away, and then he goes, "Who the?" He looks at you, and he says, "Who is that?" And he said, "You're like, that's JV Insanity." He's like, "Oh, I've heard of him."
Yeah.
Eric Steele was like, "Your reputation precedes itself."
Yeah. It was yeah, there are actually somewhere out there. There are some YouTube audio video things of Sean Cena talking about Hitler. Um,
Why is he talking about Hitler?
because people asked him about it, and it really kind of makes the West Virginia high school education system not look great because look, I can't fully explain it without busting out into to incredible laughter. Look it up, Sean Cena on Hitler.
Is it on YouTube?
It's on the YouTube. Yes.
Oh, I gotta check this out.
Yeah. I once yeah, I remember once I took a road trip with him and a couple and Pomeroy and a couple other trainees. And for the record, Pomeroy is the only trainee that I think ever really stuck around all the way through it.
Almost. Actually, he hasn't been around lately, so I think he finally called it a day. But I did see his dad. I think at the JCW Beckley show, like maybe a month ago or whatever the fuck that was. But
Cletus the Killbilly's still out there?
I think he just made that one appearance, or he was trying to, and hell, he didn't even get to do the battle royal that night. But he was. I remember somebody said, "Hey, JV," and I was like, "I know him. Okay, where the fuck is Pomeroy at?"
Uh, Cletus the Killbilly Cassidy is
He
Pomeroy's
might
father.
have been there to hang out with Necro, though. Now I think about it,
What's up?
he might have just been there to hang out with Necro. Now I think about it, though.
Well, that's a fair enough reason to make it to the show.
So, what caused you to get out of the business, man?
Well, kind of a long story, but we've got plenty of time. So let's see. I was hanging out around there, around West Virginia mostly. I also worked Western PA, a lot of Ohio, and Maryland a bit. But well, back in the day, I was it was about let's see, it was 2011. I had just finished college because the whole time I'm on indie wrestling, I'm still going to Cal U in Pennsylvania, which at the beginning of the whole mess, I was a student there. So I finish up school, and for anybody out there who doesn't know this, indie wrestling pays precisely diddly and dick. Not easy, not an easy game to make a living at. So I had gotten a job to be an actor to play Andrew Jackson, the guy on the 20, in a place called Cherokee, North Carolina, which is Cherokee Indian reservation. I thought, all right, this will be nice. I'll take a couple of months off because working 3, 4 days a week, you're gonna you accumulate injuries, and I was always really reckless with my body. I would do stupid, dangerous things, land on a lot of concrete, take a lot of big, unnecessary bumps,
For
and
that good old $20 paycheck.
yeah, for I earned all 20 of those dollars. When I had half, when I was bleeding out of every part of my body, when I had just gotten, when I was in Clarksburg, West Virginia, for that Panes of Glass death match we were talking about, that match ended. TJ sets up 2 chairs facing each other in the ring, puts a pane of glass, like a big ass window, on top of it, wrapped in barbed wire, covers that some bitch in thumbtacks, and puts a bundle of like 6 or 7 light tubes on top of it. I, for some reason, go up to the top rope. He throws me, gives me a flipping superplex, like a German superplex off the top through this horrifying contraption. I'm bleeding out of everywhere. I'm sitting in the backstage after that. I've got all the people from the fire department, 5 or 6 of them, picking pieces of glass out of my skin and my back and my arms and chest and legs. And Johnny Hard walks up to me, hands me an envelope, and says, "Kid, you earned it." I open up, $20. Fucking right, I earned it, Johnny. I've got scars on my face to this day from that match. But I decided to take a couple months off. On the way down, to North Carolina, I stopped at 304. Had one of the best matches of my career with Smokey C. By the way, Smokey, great guy, Templar, love him to death. And other than trying to ruin the interview just now, Ryan Reed, love him to death too. But I end up going down to North Carolina. I spend a couple months acting, and so I don't make any towns. And after that, I kind of had I didn't have a shoot job, and I was running out of cash, so I had the option of either moving down to West Virginia again, because I had already done that before for a short time in 2010. This is fall 2011 now. Or I had the option to live in New Jersey with my brother for a couple of months and then go over to South Korea, um, which they were offering me a lot of money to go over there and be a teacher. And like most pro wrestlers, I was dealing with personal problems at the time, and I was a mess. And I thought maybe it'll be good to get away for a little while. So, I finally made the call. I was working for APWA at the time for Don West, who
Yeah.
was, he's a very good promoter. Always treated me right, always paid me well. And uh, let's see, I was in a feud at the time with Zach Vincent, who is amazing. Only athlete I've ever met like him in the world. He and I had some terrific matches together. But I just wasn't available enough to finish it. I didn't have the money to make the towns, so I decided instead of staying in West Virginia and being a wrestler, I decided to move over to South Korea and become a shooter, a legit grappler or whatever. And so I went over there, worked as a teacher. Got the Templar black belt in catch wrestling, which I only know of 3 of those that are in existence. There's mine, there's TJ Phillips's, and there's Jason Kincaid's, um, who, they're awesome shooters. And I got a judo black belt, won my first MMA fight, came back here, and instead of getting back, and I was gone for a year. I got bigger, stronger, I got a lot better, but I didn't really feel like getting back into it. It's a really high stress world being a
Yeah.
wrestler. And I'm a classically trained actor. I'm used to stepping into rooms where there's a lot of divas, but here's the difference between theater and wrestling. In theater, those divas are hot 19 to 20 something year old girls, and in pro wrestling, they are either steroided up or generally overweight 19 to 50-year-old guys. And to be honest, if I have to deal with one group of divas or the other, I'd like to go with the ladies for obvious reasons. Um, and there was, and of course, I also got tired of driving 5 hours each way to for a promoter to try to pay me off with a hot dog and a handshake. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, at one point, I was at a show and a promoter was talking about not paying me my meager, I think like $40 that he owed me. And I'm like, "Oh, I gotta go get in my bag. I used to have this big, I still have it, but I used to carry it in my bag, this big Rambo knife. I'm like, I'm gonna go get my knife and then get my money. And then I stopped myself and think for a second, I'm about to mug somebody for $40. Is this really where I want my fucking life to be going? Yeah, so I moved over to Asia. I got my shit together. I came back to the States. I won a national judo championship. I won a world jiu-jitsu championship. Yeah, I'm the head coach at UFC Astoria. Um,
So
so
is like UFC Astoria, is that like I mean, it's got the name UFC with it, so is it like an off branch from Ultimate Fighting or what?
mhm. Yeah, the UFC itself owns a chain of gyms around the country.
Mhm.
They have they I live in New York now. I live up in Queens. And they have one up here. I went in and I tried to get a job as their wrestling coach. I ended up the grappling coach, which is wrestling plus submissions. And we just finished our first year. We've produced two world champions, one national champion, a champion from the Beast of the East, which was the biggest jiu-jitsu and grappling tournament in U.S. history. And on top of that, we had 11 other major medalists, and of them, 6 of them were world medalists. So we did a good job. We brought everything together very nicely for the first year. But yeah, I wanted to at the time move away a little bit from pro wrestling, and I wanted to move in towards shoot fighting for a while. In the last couple of months, I've had a couple of matches up here at the UFCW, small promotion been running out of the gym. I've had a couple of matches for the championship there. I ended up with the gold in the last match with the help of my bodyguard, a big, giant, scary, intimidating black man named Tori. Um, and things are going very, very well with that. I won the belt. I popped champagne in front of God and everybody and little kids and people's moms and chugged it in front of everybody. I loved it. It's a wonderful feeling, especially because I cheated to win. That's that's satisfying right there. So, yeah, in short, it's because why did I get out of the business? Because there was not a whole lot of money in it. And listen, I think it was Bobby the Brain Heenan who once said this: "If you're not in the business to make money, you're in the wrong business." So,
Yeah.
taking that advice, I decided to take a break. I am still available if somebody names the right price. I'll show up. I'll work. There's a couple of old friends of mine who I've been wanting to work for a long time. And by the way, I haven't gotten to put them over yet, but I want to put over Eric Steele. Eric Steele's the man, and and Chance Profit. Got to put him over.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's a couple other. I think there's a couple of wrestling groups actually in New York too. Have you ever tried to actually work up that way or?
Um, I sent out a couple of emails. I haven't tried really, really hard because I have like 3 or 4 jobs right now. Not because I'm in poverty, but because I'm productive. But I'm looking to get more into it as the months go by and my time frees up. But if you're really asking, JV, no, you have not seen the last of the Landshark in a wrestling ring, and you've not seen the last of them in West Virginia either. I will be back. I'm gonna take revenge on the Beast Man, and I'm gonna take revenge on Ryan Reed.
Revenge on Ryan Reed for interrupting the interview.
Yeah. 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 One more bulldozer story because I like it so much. At one after party at Higgins' apartment, he kicked a giant hole in the wall. That's the end of the story. But it was uh it really captures the type of atmosphere we like to have there. I
Oh
think
man,
my
it was
favorite,
fun.
yeah, a great fun memory I had of that time is an after party we had. There was one girl who was like 18, and there was a huge group of us, the Billings brothers. I think you were there. I think maybe Eric Steele was there. I know Admon was there and Pomeroy, and we all sat around and Kincaid was there. Kincaid was definitely there. We all sat around Higgins' apartment all night singing songs. And I mean, so we've got Admon sitting in the corner and he's singing by himself. He goes, "There she comes, just a walking down the street." And these eight really crazy, aggressive, savage guys just go, "Do a diddy diddy dum diddy do," and it was incredible. The whole time went like that. That's how I remember all of the indie wrestling industry. Was being plastered, hanging out, singing songs with my friends. Um, it's a wonderful team dynamic that you get to build through experiences like that. Because
Oh yeah. Yo, you here?
yellow,
Okay, we're back.
we're doing great at this internet thing tonight, fellas.
Oh, definitely.
So where was I?
You're just talking about, just how good of a time it was back in the day and everything, especially in the Higgins after parties and whatnot.
Yep. Yeah, and it's nice going out into a ring and getting blasted in the face really hard. Not gonna lie, it's I know it's kind of a strange thing to enjoy, but I really liked going out there and getting a nice stiff elbow right in the face. There's not enough of that in life, I find. You know, people don't just walk up and hit each other anymore. So, and I would like to bring that back because I always felt a lot better after the first time it happened. It's like, well, okay, my day is not gonna get any worse than that. Yeah. Of course, I think it was J. Rue who gave me the nickname Crowbar Cornwallis. Um, yeah. We always worked very snug, which means, for anybody who doesn't know out there, it means we love just laying into each other, hitting each other with big, hard shots. So, yeah, it's that's what I probably miss the most. The boys,
So,
the wrestlers Templar, and getting blasted in the face.
so when's the last time you talked to TJ Phillips?
Oh, talked to him was probably a little more than a year ago.
It's been a while for me as well, man. Hell, I was in Clarksburg. I was asking everybody over there. I was like, "Hey, when's the last time you talked to TJ?" And they were like, "Man, he's just he's not around." And then I was like, "Fuck!" I just want to say hello to my friend.
Yeah, yeah. Um, for listeners out there unfamiliar, TJ Phillips, one of the best wrestlers in West Virginia, my mentor and a very dear friend. I was the priest at his second wedding. I don't know if you knew that or not.
Oh, you were?
I was. I won the best man battle royal in
I knew you won the best man battle royal. But I was like, I didn't even know you end up. How did you get up to the priest role? Was
Well,
there another battle royal that I didn't know about?
well, yeah, it was actually a tournament, 16 men. It lasted for weeks. No, it was a thing
Was
where
this in Del Rio in Brazil?
um, yeah, something like that. What happened was we were, the wedding was supposed to be the Sunday after the show. The show was on a Saturday. I was supposed to be the best man at the wedding, but he was having some kind of trouble with, I don't know, his divorce or something. And so just ended up hanging out with him and his family for a little while. And we're out by this lake or whatever down in West Virginia, and I pull him and his wife aside because the summer before I had used the power of the internet to become a minister in West Virginia, legally ordained and everything like that, and said, okay, for once, just this once, I will use my powers for good. And I stand him there, I have him say the I do's or whatever as I pronounce him man and wife. So priest didn't show up, so I got bumped up from best man to priest.
The priest didn't show up.
Yep. So yeah, then I ended up
This is a
having to do it.
no-show.
Yeah, but yeah, he was a really good, also really good at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Got fourth at Gracie Nationals, and he was the leader of the Templar.
Oh
Uh,
yes.
he was the one who would be like, "All right, boys, now we're gonna start working for this promotion," and we would. He was the one who, whenever you would have a match, I'd have a match. I think, "Oh, that was so good, that was awesome." He'd sit me down and proceed to chew my ass out for an hour about every little thing that was wrong with it, which was probably the best thing for me because I went from screaming, drizzling, volcanic shits to being a good hand, and without that guidance, I would have never been able to do that, and I would have never gained the skills that eventually made me a world jiu-jitsu champion. So yeah, he's also to be fair, a very wild and funny dude. He had we used to just sit around and do things because I'm not going to say anything on tape. And we'd get drunk and just watch horror movies all the time. And and it was what we do. We had a real family atmosphere down there. It was good to have all the boys, all the Templar together like that. And then we go out on Saturdays and whoop some ass.
Actually, I'll
Woo!
say this DJ, man. He always had everyone's back that he was cool with. Because I remember one time at Summit Park, the cops showed up for some reason, and him and the kid were in the ring, and they grabbed Zach Vincent. The cops show up. They're about to bust Zach Vincent. He's about to fucking do time or something. And then second TJ gets out of the ring, I grab him and I said, "The cops are here, and they just got Zach." And he immediately runs out there, and they take the cuffs right off Zach, and Zach is a free man.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, it was always like that. Now I remember one time he stole my bar fight. He kept there was we were waiting for the bathroom at this one bar in Fairmont, and there was some guy in there getting a beach from his girlfriend. So he's like, Donnie, go mess with him. Go mess with him. I'm like, all right, fine. Start pounding on the door. I gotta pee. Get blown at home. And so they come out, and she is wiping her mouth like out of a movie. It's ridiculous. And I'm like, oh, you guys disgust me. And I walk into the bathroom, close the door behind me. The guy kicks the door back open. I charge out of this bathroom at this guy, but T blocks me like he's breaking it up. And then he steps forward and shoves the guy and starts berating him and telling him to leave. Like, oh man, I wanted to do it. No fair. So yeah, there was yeah, he was always a stand-up guy. Always stuck by his boys. Very, very loyal. Always, yeah.
Oh yeah, and I forgot to bring this up for everybody that doesn't know. Here's a little trivia. I was the first person to wrestle Landshark, and it be called In the Ring.
Oh yes, yeah. You maybe you should explain to people the different ways people do the those matches, JV.
There's a little art here. 'Cause look, I have nothing against if you want to call your stuff. I've had that conversation with people before, and I guess I got a reputation out of it where people's like, oh fuck, JV doesn't want to call it or anything, and I will. I'll call it. I'll call it in the ring. I'll call it in the back. But like at that given point, that time, I just said, hey, let's just call it. Because I think it was like a tournament or something like that. I didn't want to fucking remember
JV, you don't
1,000
remember
spots.
that tournament? Oh, hold up a sec. Let's jump back into this thing. New listeners, calling it means you're deciding what you're gonna do in your match. Wrestling's fake. I can live with it. So prior to this match, we always choreographed everything carefully in the back, and then every time at some point screwed all that up. This was the first time JV told me we're just gonna wing it, and so which means you go out there and you improv the match based on the crowd's reactions. That show, TJ had stood up the whole roster and said, "As of now, you are all fired." And after tonight, we will find out who does and does not get their jobs back. We had this tournament, and the first match was going to be to determine if I was okay to continue being a pro wrestler there. If apparently if JV had given a bad report about me to TJ, Mr. Eric, the Lariat, Mr. Sex Appeal Steel would have then proceeded to whoop my skinny surfer ass. That'd be about right, JV?
Oh, I remember that now.
Yeah.
I remember Dozer was scared to death of Eric. I guess he said something to Eric Steele a long time ago that Eric Steele doesn't even remember, even to this day, let alone that show. And Dozer like apologized like crazy before they went to the ring, and Eric Steele was like, "I have no idea what the fuck you're even talking about."
Yeah. Bulldozer versus Eric Steele is one of the best. It's one of the best matches I've ever seen. Any promoter in the world can put that match on a card, and people will go crazy.
Oh yeah, I think their little catchphrase for their matches are "Big guys can still go."
Yeah. I remember once I saw a match where they were just flying at each other. I saw the bulldozer, 350 pounds, fly through the air, through the ropes into Eric Steele. I've never heard a pop like that, and I mean the pop from the locker room. The locker room was on its feet, screaming, watching that shit. It was outstanding to see a white gorilla fly. Uh, and
Fly gorilla fly.
Eric Steele, for his part, I also had a lot of my very best matches with, is an outstanding wrestler. State champion shoot wrestler, just great in the ring, wonderful on the mic. You got this big blonde mane of hair. If you look on that YouTube there, again, you could probably find Donnie Tate versus Eric Steele, 2 out of 3 falls. That's a very good match. That's yeah. Sorry, JV. I haven't had a lot of time to put my stuff over in the last couple of years.
Oh, it's all good.
Yeah, but that match is famous because of 2 things. One, I pile drove Eric Steele, and he said, "Damn, Donnie, my neck's hurt for weeks." He told me that at a later show, and the match ends with, spoiler alert, a superplex. 300 some pound man superplexed by well, me. So look it up, enjoy yourselves. But
Hey, you need to, since we're talking about back in the day too, what about when Damian Lee met Gypsy Joe?
oh my god, Now, this is a story that has a lot of different people telling it. This was probably the most famous night that ever happened to us at the Thunderdome nightclub in in Fairmont, West Virginia. We're there. We're doing a wrestling show. I'm still really bad, and I'm there. Admon is there. Bulldozer's there. Eric Steele's there. JV is there. Um, Jason Kincaid is there, and Gypsy Joe is there. Now, Gypsy Joe is a guy who's been a pro wrestler for the better part of the last 200 years. Yeah, I believe he once wrestled George Hackenschmidt, but he's been around forever. He's a legend. He's universally respected by everybody but New Jack. No, no, I'm sure they've worked it out since then. But so here's the thing. Joe's an old timer, and Damien doesn't know who he is to look at him. I mean, and I didn't either. It's just one of those things. And Damien is upset about something, and he comes in the back saying, "Who the fuck is this old guy?" And Joe's sitting there drinking a beer, because we had just recently had a rule that we're not allowed to drink in the locker room anymore. That's a real pattern that our group had. We'd arrive at a promotion, we'd say, "Hey, can we drink in the locker room?" And, promoters, they want to keep their new big group of guys relatively happy. They're like, "Sure, sure, have a couple." And we would all proceed to get totally blitzed hammered in the locker room, and then get rowdy and break stuff. So then we would have drinks banned from the locker room. All right, so we're in there, and Joe has a beer. The rest of us are hiding ours or whatever because we care what the promoter thinks or whatever. And Damien's like, "Hey, where'd you get the beer?" Joe says, "Some guy." Damien says, "Who?" He said, "Some fucking guy." And Damien tells him, "Get the fuck out of here." And he says to him something to the effect of, "Do you want to walk out or get thrown out?" Joe's like, "I want to be thrown out." And Damien goes to get in his face, and a few things start happening. Joe reaches into his pocket, where I would hypothesize there may or may not have been a knife. Jason Kincaid may or may not have had a gun. I don't know that for sure, and can't say it on the record. TJ comes out of the back and screams at his boss, "Damien, come the fuck over here!" Pulls him into the back room, proceeds to scream at and berate the promoter for disrespecting Gypsy Joe, and the rest of us are sitting in the locker room saying, "What the fuck just happened?" We get in the car later. Admon says to me, "I think we almost just witnessed a murder." That was the night Gypsy Joe came to Fairmont.
I remember at one point he tried to get the beer out of Joe's hand, and it took him maybe 3 attempts to actually pull it out of Joe's hand.
And not for nothing, Joe is 80 or something. Have we ever determined exactly?
No clue, man. Oh, I think we lost him. Dottie. Donnie.
Hello.
Uh, yeah, you back?
Yes, I am once again back. All right, fine. Just to get me stopped from getting kicked off the internet, I hereby put over Ryan Reed. Good guy. Love Squidward to death. Good wrestler. Stop kicking my interview off.
Ryan Reed's mad because it's not his interview.
Well, get him next week.
I already probably was at the Smoky Sea. Smoky Sea immediately saw that and said, like, hey, how do I get on the happy hour? And I was like,
Hey,
well, you have to have Skype.
when, when you talk to Smokey C, you send him my absolute best. All right, that guy, he's a very good guy.
Oh, yeah, I
Um,
love Smoky.
Me too. He's the how do I say this? He's the Hulk Hogan of Huntington. They just adore him. Um, but yeah, that was the night Gypsy Joe came to Fairmont. Somebody almost died, and my education of the wrestling business really probably began that night. Um, yeah, wrestling business is wild. Don't let anybody tell you differently. There's a lot of crazy outlaw stuff that still happens in that insulated little world. Um, and it's strange just how much of it there is, and how it's also weird how much everybody is attempting to screw one another over. It's
It's funny because, like, I was me and Eric Steele always talk about this. Um, okay, in wrestling, it's just like when someone fucks shit up, I mean, that's a protocol to beat the shit out of them. I mean, you can't work at McDonald's or something and someone screws up your order and then, like, your fellow coworker smacks you in the face with a spatula.
now that would be bad form. That's unprofessional. But wrestling's different.
In wrestling, something gets fucked up, you're getting yelled at, you're getting the shit beat out of you. Sometimes your fucking shit gets thrown out of the locker room.
Mm-hmm. It happens all the time.
Now, Landshark, didn't you write a book?
I did.
And I still have not got a copy, Landshark. I'm offended.
Well, sorry, JV. We're still in the editing process for the thing right now. I'll send you an autographed copy as soon as we finish the publishing stuff, okay?
All right.
All right, I'm sure that you will enjoy it. A lot of the people we've talked about today make appearances in it. I hope you can pick them out whenever they do come up. Also, get Jason Kincaid on this show. He told me, I was texting him a couple of weeks ago, he told me a story about trying to travel through like an Aboriginal village in Canada to try to bang a witch.
A witch?
Yeah, that's it. It's Kincaid. I 100% will vouch for the authenticity of that story, not even knowing the whole thing.
Shit, I think one of these weeks I need to take some vacation time over here and head on down to New York and hang out with Donnie Tate one week.
Yeah, come out, hang out. I will show you all that the big city has to offer. We'll find some wrestling shows. I'm sure they're around, and I'm just being lazy.
We don't even have to go to a wrestling show. What part of New York are you in?
Don't pretend that you're gonna get two or more of the Templar together, and there's not gonna be wrestling happening.
Oh, there'll be wrestling happening even if we have to do it ourselves.
And we're gonna end up having a worked bar fight.
We're gonna have to do it at the fucking UFC gym that you're at.
Sure, bring your gear up. I'll have you work some of those people. Give them the old the Fairmont treatment. See if they're any good. Yep. Well, look, JV, I gotta hop off of here. I gotta go take care of being a responsible adult and a good citizen. I'm kidding. I'm gonna get off of here and go be a degenerate for a couple more hours. But yeah, it's been a real pleasure talking to you, man. Are there any final questions that you'd like to ask before I take off? I suppose not.
Well, we got kicked off right before the show was getting ready to end.
Oh, really? So are we still on now?
I guess we still are.
All right. Okay, so JV Insanity, do you have any final questions for me before I go back off into the wild New York?
Have you seen Elvis and how's he doing lately?
I saw an Elvis impersonator out in Las Vegas a few months ago. I was out there getting counterterrorism training. I was walking down Fremont Street. He looks fat. Uh,
That
yeah, work Elvis looks fat.
was it Bulldozer?
No, it was not. Though, if it had been, I would have stuck around longer.
If it had been, you would have at least stuck around to give him a nice little sloppy fucking kiss on the cheek.
Oh, I'll actually keep that in mind for the next time I see him. I do want to take this opportunity to put the Bulldozer over. Terrific guy, very good wrestler, very good friend. Yeah. So yeah, I love
So,
you,
do you have
Bulldozer.
anything like? Are you on Twitter? Are you on Face? I mean, I know you're on Facebook, but
I'm on Facebook. You can find me on Facebook under Landshark Donnie. I have if I ever get a Twitter, I'll come back on your show to put it over.
is any of your fights on YouTube or anything?
Yes, I can. If you give me the website here, I'll post a couple of links to my MMA fight over in Korea, and links to a couple of the matches we've talked about during today's interview.
All right.
All right, JV Insanity, you're a legend. You're the man.
Thank you.
All right, well, yeah, I'm gonna take off here, buddy. You take care of yourself, all right?
All right, you too, man.
Yeah, and I would like to thank the Happy Hour podcast for having me on. I want to thank our sponsors, Miller Fortune, and do we have any other sponsors?
Pabst Blue Ribbon was pretty good too.
Blue Ribbon, the hipster ale for the new age. And with that, take care of yourselves out there. This has been the Messiah of Malice, the Avatar of Evil, the apex epitome of aggression, the visage of violence, the Landshark, your champion of virtue, Donnie Tate.
Awesome. Take care, man.
Rounds of one diamond contest. 15 minutes.